Today, we bring you Chapter 31 of When No Decides, titled Unsealed Memory. I didn't forget, I hid it from myself. The room felt wrong after the call. Not quiet, paused. It was like reality itself was waiting for a decision. Ethan stood perfectly still, his eyes unfocused. Lily stepped closer. "Ethan, I remember," he said, his voice distant. Her heart jumped. "What do you remember?" He inhaled sharply, as if the air itself was a shock. "Why they really killed me." The memory didn't arrive gently. It flooded him. A warehouse not abandoned, just forgotten. Harsh white lights. Everything was too clean. A large screen hung on the wall, names scrolling down its surface. These weren't targets, they were approvals. "I wasn't just an assassin," Ethan said, his voice strained. "I was quality control." Lily's stomach dropped. Orders weren't given in words, they were given in thresholds. If civilian casualties stayed under a certain number, the mission passed. If not, the cleanup escalated. It was a cold, brutal calculus. "I started noticing patterns," Ethan continued, his fists clenching at his sides. The same people were always approving. They had the same blind spots. He paused, the memory sharpening in his mind. He saw Marcus, younger, less polished, standing beside him. Then, from behind a closed door, the sound of a child's voice, crying, not screaming, just waiting. "That wasn't a target," Ethan said, his voice hoarse. "It was leverage." Lily's hands began to shake. "And you stopped it?" "Yes," Ethan confirmed. "I refused the clearance." The silence that followed was heavy, pressing in on them. "What happened next?" Lily whispered. Ethan laughed once. A single humorless sound. "They told me to stand down," he said. "Then they reassigned my extraction." He finally looked at her, his holographic form flickering violently. "They never planned to bring me back." Lily reached out instinctively. "Ethan, I'm okay," he said, though it was clear he wasn't remembering. "It hurts," she swallowed hard. "So Marcus's offer to delete you isn't mercy," Ethan finished for her. "It's containment." Lily started pacing, her movements fast, focused. "They don't just want you gone," she said, her mind racing. "They want the idea of you gone." Ethan nodded slowly. "And now," he said quietly, "they're worried the idea is teaching you." She stopped dead in her tracks and looked at him. A new resolve hardened her expression. "Then there is a third option," Ethan frowned. "There is." "Yes," Lily said, her voice firm. "We stopped playing defense." Just then her phone buzzed. It wasn't Marcus. It was an unknown number. A text message appeared on the screen. "You're asking the wrong man for permission." Ethan's eyes widened as he saw it. "That's not his network," he said, a note of shock in his voice. Lily's pulse quickened. "No," she agreed. "It's someone who wants them burned." And for the first time they realized the board wasn't just bigger, it was crowded.
Chapter 32 of When No One Decides, titled Third Voice. "You don't know me. That's why this works." The message appeared on Lily's screen. She took a deep breath, her eyes on Ethan's tense silhouette. Then she typed back, "Then talk." The reply was immediate. "Not here. Not like this." An address popped up, not a street, but a set of coordinates. Ethan leaned in, his voice low. "That's underground, old infrastructure." Lily looked at him. "So you do know it?" Ethan's expression turned grim. "Yes, that's where things disappear." They didn't go alone. They used public transit, blending into the crowds, staying in sight of the cameras. Lily got off 2 stops early and walked the rest of the way. A move Ethan silently approved. The entrance was a maintenance hatch, barely visible behind a construction fence. The lack of guards felt more dangerous than their presence. As they descended, the air grew thick with the smell of dust and old electricity. Lights flickered on, sensing their movement. "Someone's awake," Lily whispered. "Yes," Ethan replied. And waiting, a figure emerged from the shadows. He wasn't intimidating or imposing, just precise. He looked to be in his late 30s, dressed in plain clothes, with eyes that seemed to see everything. "Call me Rowan," he said. "Not my real name." Ethan froze, his voice shaking. "You're dead." Rowan offered a faint, chilling smile. "So are you." He gestured to a chair. "Sit," he told Lily. "You're the variable." Lily sat, but remained on high alert. "You contacted me," she said. "Why?" Rowan leaned back, his gaze steady. "Because Marcus is lying to you," he said. "And because Ethan didn't die alone." Ethan's breath hitched. "What does that mean?" Rowan's voice was calm, but his words hit like a shockwave. "It means there were 3 names on the termination list that night." The silence was deafening, and only 2 bodies. He slid a data drive across the table toward Lily. "They're erasing history," he explained. "You're standing in what they missed." Lily stared at the small piece of tech. Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. Who was the third? But Rowan's eyes were locked on Lily. "You don't want the name," he said. "You want what he took." Just then, the lights flickered again. And in that moment, Lily understood a terrifying new reality. The truth wasn't just hidden anymore. It was being protected. To 33. The third option. There are only two choices, Marcus had said. Rowan shook his head. That's what they tell you when they're scared of the third. Rowan didn't touch the data drive. He let Lily do it. Because once you pick it up, he said, you're no longer just surviving. Lily slid it closer. What's on it? She asked. Proof, Rowan replied, and a map. Ethan frowned. A map to what? To the part of the system that isn't supposed to exist, Rowan said. The ledger beneath the ledger. They moved deeper underground, into a room filled with servers that hummed like breathing machines. Old tech, off-grid, still alive. Rowan plugged in the drive, and the screen lit up. Names appeared, not targets, not agents, but approvers. Ethan stared. I've seen these, he said, briefly. Never all together, Rowan replied. That's because no one survives long enough to connect them. Lily scanned the list. And the third name, she asked. Rowan hesitated. That's the point, he said. There isn't one anymore. Ethan turned sharply. What do you mean? Isn't? Rowan answered. I mean he removed himself, erased his trail, faked his death. Lily's pulse spiked. She looked at him. You. Rowan didn't deny it. I was logistics, he said calmly. I saw patterns before I saw faces. Ethan swallowed, his voice tight. And you let me die. Yes, Rowan said. And that's why you don't trust me. There was a long silence before Ethan nodded once. Correct, Rowan continued. The third option is this, he said. We don't expose them publicly. Lily frowned. That was my first thought. And it would get you killed, Rowan stated. No, we poison their certainty. Ethan leaned forward. How? We make their system doubt itself, Rowan explained. Bad data, conflicting approvals, ghost signatures. Lily's eyes widened. You turn their control against them. Yes, Rowan said, and we do it using Ethan. The room went still. Me, Ethan asked. You're already a paradox, Rowan said. Officially dead, functionally active. He looked at Lily, and tethered to someone they can't legally erase without causing a commotion. Lily understood. You want to make him visible, she said, but not provable. Rowan smiled. Now you're thinking like them, and that's how you beat them. Ethan's voice was quiet. What does it cost? Rowan didn't soften it. You, he said. Eventually, Lily's breath caught. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. I figured. Rowan powered down the screen. You have 24 hours, he said, before Marcus realizes the board has changed. Lily looked at Ethan, not as a ghost, not as a weapon, but as a choice. Then we start tonight, she said, her voice firm. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah, he replied. Let's haunt the system. And far above them, somewhere, Marcus felt it. Not fear, uncertainty.
Chapter 3 for Fracture. Marcus absolutely hated surprises, which is exactly how he knew something was very wrong. The alert didn't flash across a screen. It came from the silence. One of his data feeds had simply stopped updating. It hadn't crashed or disconnected, it just paused. Marcus leaned back in his high-tech chair, a puzzled frown on his face. That's impossible, he murmured to the empty room. Systems don't pause, people do. He immediately initiated a manual check. Authorization accepted, timestamp verified. But the approving signature, it was wrong. Not a fake, but out of sequence. Marcus's jaw tightened. Someone's replaying ghosts, he said, a cold realization dawning on him. Across the sprawling city, Lily felt it too. A sudden shift in pressure, like the air right before a violent storm. They noticed, Ethan said, his voice low. I can feel their scan sweeping through. Rowan, however, didn't even look up from his terminal. Good, he replied flatly. That means they're reacting, not predicting. Back in Marcus's sterile office, a second anomaly appeared. An approval he distinctly remembered giving was now logged twice. Different times, but with the exact same credentials. Marcus stood up slowly from his desk. No, he said softly, shaking his head. That's not possible. He quickly pulled up the kill ledger. Ethan's name was still there, exactly as it should be. Status resolved. But now, a secondary marker blinked ominously next to it. Unverified activity detected. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. They're using him, he realized with a sickening lurch, and she's letting them. He made the call himself, not to Lily, but to his superior. We have contamination, Marcus stated calmly, his voice betraying no emotion. After a tense pause, a voice colder than his own replied. Explain. A dead asset is generating operational noise, Marcus reported, and it's spreading. Silence on the other end. Then, one single word, contain. Marcus ended the call. For the first time in years, he noticed his hands were trembling. It wasn't fear. It was the intense pressure of calculation. He opened a private, untraceable channel. An unknown number appeared on Lily's phone with a message. You started something you can T-finish. She didn't answer. Instead, She looked at Ethan. He's scared. She said yes, Ethan replied. And that makes him dangerous. Rowan finally looked up from his work, his face grim. Phase 1 is complete, he announced. Now they'll try Phase 2. Lily swallowed hard. What's Phase 2? Rowan's expression darkened even further. Removal, he said. Not of Ethan, of you. Outside, the distant wail of sirens began to echo through the streets. Ethan moved closer to Lily. If they come, he said quietly, I won't be able to shield you the same way. Lily just nodded, her resolve hardening. Then don't, she replied. Stand with me. Miles above, Marcus stared out at the glittering city lights. The board wasn't broken, not yet, but it was cracking. And cracks, he knew, always had a way of spreading.
Chapter 35 of When No One Decides, titled Direct Hit. They're done circling, Ethan said. They're coming straight through. The warning arrived as absence. No messages, no shadows, no pressure. Rowan looked up from the terminal too late. That's bad, he said. Lily felt it then, a hollowing, like the room had lost its echo. They cut the noise, Ethan murmured. To move. The lights died, not all at once. Sequential. Hallway stairs. This room. Rowan swore under his breath. Emergency exit, he said. Now. They moved. Too slow. A door at the far end unlocked itself. Footsteps. Measured. Confident. Not rushed. They want you conscious, Ethan said. They want compliance. Lily's heart pounded, but her voice stayed steady. No, she said. They want proof. Two figures entered the room. Plain clothes. No insignia. No weapons visible. One smiled politely. Lily Carter, he said. We need you to come with us. Rohan stepped forward. She's under my. The second figure didn't look at him, just tapped an earpiece. Rowan froze mid-sentence. His eyes went unfocused. Then he slumped alive, breathing. Gone. They isolated him, Lily whispered. Yes, Ethan said. Clean. The first man turned back to Lily. Please don't resist, he said. This ends faster if you cooperate. Ethan moved without thinking. His presence surged, too bright, too solid. The air snapped. The man staggered back, gasping. The second agent reacted instantly, hand up, device humming. Ethan screamed. Not loud, sharp. Lily felt it like glass behind her eyes. Stop, she shouted. The device cut out. Ethan collapsed to one knee, flickering wildly. Lily ran to him. He struggled to focus. Still here, barely. The agent recovered first. That's enough, he said, voice colder now. You see what protecting you costs him. Lily stood slowly. Her hands were shaking, but she stood. You don't want me unconscious, she said. You want me choosing. The agent paused. A fraction too long. That's right, Lily continued. And if I go with you like this, she met his eyes. You lose control of the narrative. Silence. The man exhaled sharply. You're learning, he said. He stepped back. Just one step. We'll return, he said, with terms you can accept. They withdrew as calmly as they'd entered. Lights flickered back on. Rowan groaned, stirring. Ethan sagged against the wall, barely holding shape. That, he said weakly, was me crossing a line. Lily knelt in front of him, eyes burning. Then we make it worth it, she said. Outside, helicopters passed overhead too high to see, and Lily understood this was no longer about survival. It was about who broke first.